past week, Enugu State has experienced a series of significant developments, notably nomination, screening, confirmation, and portfolio assignment for new commissioners by the legislature and the executive. The new commissioners and head of service have now been officially sworn in by the Enugu State governor at a ceremony held at the Exco Chambers, Government House, Enugu, and monitored by Afia TV correspondent Chidima Madu.
Right to all manner of people, according to the law, without fear or favor, as commissioner in the government of Enugu State of Nigeria. So help me God.
Here in Enugu, we've steered such strong expectations among our people that every day feels like you're rendering your scorecard. So you're soon going to realize that you have to hit the ground running. There will be no honeymoon period, unfortunately. But I welcome you and congratulate you all for these appointments. We set targets, we set goals, and we have key performance indicators, we have measurable indicators, we have to measure, and you have to constantly do an analysis of where you are with respect to the goals and what your results are. So those KPIs are key to us, and we will measure you based on those outcomes and results. We recognize and acknowledge teamwork champions. So we do not encourage working in silos. You have to work as a team. We believe that by working as a team, we're able to accomplish our collective goals. You shouldn't see your colleagues as rivals. They should actually complement your efforts and your activities. Our modest accomplishments in the state so far is not done by a single champion. We like to recognize our efforts as team efforts.
Our deep and profound gratitude for this humbling experience. Your Excellency, there are over 30 million Enugu State people, perhaps many of them competently qualified, but you've looked at us and chosen to entrust us with this sacred duty of assisting and working with you as you make history on a daily basis. We will keep faith with the oath we just took. We will be loyal, we will be dedicated, and we will discharge our duties honorably to the best of our ability.
Now, according to reports, Dr. Felix Namani was reassigned from the Ministry of Water Resources to the Ministry of Labor and Employment. Commissioner Dr. Malakayabo was reassigned from the Ministry of Human Development and Poverty Eradication to the Ministry of Information, while the former Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Engineer Gerald Otiji, is now the Commissioner for Housing. In the background, strong appeals by the Enugu State Governor, Dr. Peter Mbah, remain unchanged in the ongoing Constitution review process. And still on course, the Enugu State Electricity Regulatory Commission announced a substantial reduction in tariffs for Bande consumers. Actions with implications not just for government, ministries, and consumers, but Enugu State's governance and development. This is Enugu Kwenu. I am Nathalie Uku. Welcome. Good evening and welcome to Enugu Kwenu on Afia TV. My name is Nathalie once again, and joining me today is Mr. Chilaka Njoku, Public Affairs Analyst and CEO Sputnet Limited. Much later on today, she'll also be joined by Princess Obiajulu Ugu, member representing Enugu South Rural Constituency in the Enugu State House of Assembly, for input on the screening exercise. Mr. Chilaka, pleasure to have you on.
It's my pleasure.
So you've seen the developments so far, notable ones. What's your overall reaction to what's happening in Enugu State at the moment?
Well, it simply shows the governor is actually tracking his appointees. So those that are not right fits or who have not done well in where they're assigned, he has moved them around. And then those who need to be changed have been changed. So it means he's measuring. I was listening to his speech when he mentioned about KPAs and KPI. That means he knows exactly what the deliverables are and what are expectations of his appointees. And so I think this should be extended to other workers within the state. But I know that's a little bit difficult for him to be able to do all that, but it's okay. He's watching his own team. I hope the commissioners also borrow a leave to watch their PAMSECs and people who are in the boards under their ministry and ensure that those who are not delivering, get pulled out or moved around.
I think it's great for us to start here, really. Yeah. The fact that the state governor is reshuffling his cabinet, does that necessarily mean that the people who were in those positions before, they were moved laterally or perhaps had to resign or something? Does that mean that they were not competent enough to hold those roles, to harbor those responsibilities?
Someone could be doing something and you uncover that they have, better strength in something else. It's okay, you know what? With what you're doing here, if we move you here, maybe you understand what I mean? Yeah. Or you might have two people with the same set of skill set, okay, available to you. You're using one. One is latent somewhere. And you realize that this one that I'm using, I can use him somewhere else, but this guy can only work in this position. And you make that movement. All I'm saying is that he's watching. That's what it means. And I heard him mention KPIs and KPAs. So you give the key performance indicators to them as they resume work today and let them know, which is what he's done, that you are being watched and you're being measured. If you fall short of it, you will have to leave.
Unfortunately, there's no honeymoon period as well. No time to gallivant, no time
Not
for
in this government with 1,000 and something projects.
Right.
There will be no time to rest.
Okay, so let's take a look at the list of the newly sworn in appointees. We're seeing Dr. Godwin Anibo, who is the head of service, definitely going to be in charge of the civil service area in the state. We're seeing Engineer Benjamin Osita Oko, who is now the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure. So let's stop here for a second. Engineer Gerald Otiji appeared to be handling his duties diligently, frequently inspecting sites, really being on ground for the most part of it. Were you surprised when you saw that he had been replaced by someone else, and not necessarily replaced, but moved elsewhere while someone else took his own place? Did it surprise you? And we know that this new appointee has a vast experience in civil engineering as well. His reputation in that, or his skill set, spans way back. So do you think that this was a good move by the state government? How did you feel about Engineer Gerald Otiji?
First of all, I thought he would be the last commissioner that will ever be moved. Okay, so when I heard it I got the hint some days back that he's going to move. I started thinking, what could be the reason? Now, I'll tell you something. There are different levels of implementation of things. There might be, maybe it's done with the strategy level, the framework of what they want to do in the state. And, the housing ministry is suffering. When you have a key player, just like in soccer,
right?
You have a utility player. You can use him in different roles. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not doing well. It might mean that he's needed to assist in other places. So they bring someone else to do what, continue what he has started while he goes to do something somewhere else. Because he's somebody I know and he's a smart guy. And he knows he's quite exposed. So I don't think it has anything to do with incompetence.
If you were to speculate on this, do you think that this was actually something that the commissioners were willing to do? Do you think they were willing to leave the zones they were known for, the zones they had grown used to occupy new positions, new roles elsewhere? Based on how much you know Engineer Otiji and his works, do you think he would willingly want to move to the Ministry of Housing?
I don't think Otiji came to Enugu State to make money. Okay? He came to render service. So I'll be surprised if he's making preference on where he wants to be. I think he's here to render service because he's an established man before he came here.
Right. So
he came to serve his people. So whenever capacity governor says, help me here or help me there, he should be able to go. And I think when people get too comfortable in a particular role, it's not very good. So it's part of good management to move people around sometimes when they're getting comfortable. So whichever the reasons, we are just speculating. We don't know, but I don't think he's not that man that I expect to say, I don't want to go here. He came here to assist in developing Enugu State. So housing is a very critical area as well.
Okay, then we have Prof. Benedeth Okoli, who is now the Commissioner for Human Development and Poverty Eradication. Then we also have Franklin Obona Iyina, who is Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources. Now, this appears to be a brand new addition to the ministry in Enugu State. I don't think I've seen much activity or heard about it. Do you think that the formation of this ministry, which we've seen, is a fallout of the visits when the Committee on Solid Minerals came to Enugu and started to talk about these minerals? And do you think it had something to do with that visit paid by the Committee on Solid Minerals?
Maybe, maybe not. That visit also could have been catalyzed by the state governor as well. Because
I think it's a proactive
he takes
step.
his phone to call people that he thinks he needs in the state. So he probably has this plan, and he has gotten to the point where he needs someone to take over from what he's doing to manage it. So he decides to get a commissioner. So the point is that the man is on top of his game. He's watching what he's doing, and when he needs people, he calls them in. And if you look at the profile of people he has appointed, they are really, because I've taken time to check some of them.
Yeah.
They are really people that are hands-on in the areas he has appointed them. So it's not about politics or, and all that. So.
All right, let's look at the next appointee, Dr. Samuel Ubu Wobodo, Commissioner for Trade, Investment and Industry. Now, this did not really come as much of a shock because we know he's been a commissioner before. We know that Adora Chukwu resigned. How did you feel about the resignation of Adora Chukwu? Did you take it with a pinch of salt? Did you expect it? Did you see it coming? And how are you responding to the rumors about, things, speculations about possible bigger moves, if we can call it that?
Well, it's only honorable for someone to say, I don't want to do this no more, okay? Or you think you're not adding enough value, you take a walk and leave someone else to do it. Or you think you want to go do something else, you politely walk instead of sitting in there, and becoming a dead load. Or,
You think it had anything to do with the former Enugu State governor, Sullivan Chime, her father? Do you think it had anything to do with it?
The young lady should be allowed to live her own life. I think Sullivan Chime's time is in the past. Adora was appointed because I think she has some capacity to be a commissioner. And maybe it's not meeting her dreams as an individual. She takes up that route because she's quite a young person. I realized that this is not in line with my dreams. And goes to her boss and says, I want to do something else. That's in line. It's not a problem at all. Anybody speculating is just, like chasing.
I had the opportunity to interview Adora. Okay. I did interview her for the governor's first year in office documentary. And just listening to her, you can tell that the lady is worth her salt. She spoke well. She could defend the activities of the ministry. She could defend the investment in the state. She said some things that are memorable to me, kept on harping on the three-pronged approach of the state government. So I found it a little bit shocking that she would just, resign the way she did. I hardly think it's about competence.
Yes, young people want to do bigger things. I think there's a lot she can still do. She's quite young. She wants to, someone like Otiji we were talking about has done things. And it's time to give back. That's what I think people in politics should be. You've achieved some things as an individual. It shouldn't be a career because it's looking like a career for her, starting it at that young age. So maybe she has realized that, listen, I want to do something, bigger things before I come back, Maybe interacting with people like Otiji, say, these people have done a lot. Why am I here with them? I need to go do something before So I think it's a personal decision and it's a noble one to resign. I think it's not anything to worry about.
Is it really not anything to worry about at this point?
So.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
So where do you speculate that she would take the next move? Or what do you think the next step at this point in time would be? Yes.
No, this is a professional lady and she's also a mother. She has a family. You never know what the factors are that is driving the
Yes.
You understand what I mean? This could be impeding on her family life. It could be anything.
Okay, so we're also seeing the Commissioner for Health, Professor Emmanuel Obi, has been replaced. How do you respond to this? Because we have a new name taking up the ministry.
Obi has been there for a long time. He was there during the last government.
Two-time commissioner.
Yeah, two-time commissioner, consistently. So I don't know what the reason behind it, but the guy coming is a professor of medicine. So he's a seasoned administrator as well. He has had certain, I think, NMA and some other positions in the past. So I don't think it's a problem. I expect Professor George to be able to do justice to what's going on.
All right.
And it's true that most of the policy of the government is already, the framework is already defined. So it's just to follow up.
Yes, we're going to come to that. If these new commissioners are going to have it easy, because we're seeing the 9th mile, 24/7 9th mile water scheme is already on ground.
Yeah.
These are things that we saw Andreas Gibawa, the SA, take a look at SPA, and we saw Felix Namani also on ground for. So we'll talk about how easy or how difficult it's going to be for the new appointees. But we're just being joined now remotely by Right Honorable Princess Obiajulu Ugu, who is a member representing Enugu South Rural Constituency in Enugu State House of Assembly. Princess Obiajulu, Honorable, thank you so much for joining us today. Good evening.
Good evening, Kev.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for making our time to be with us today. So you were involved in the screening exercise, obviously, at the Enugu State House of Assembly, and we saw you asking some powerful questions to the appointee nominees, the commissioner nominees. Could you walk us through what the experience was like from the angle of being a legislator and what you really saw while you were trying to screen the commissioner nominees before they became bona fide commissioners?
All right, thank you very much, Natalie. So what I saw from the eyes of a legislator during the screening of the commissioner nominees, I saw competence, I saw people eager to work. You know, we had a lot of them having bringing out their curriculum vitae, and they were so professional, so strong, with traceable measurements for good works. You know, so what I saw was another crop of commissioners who are willing and who are ready to join hands with the Peter Mbah-led government to make sure that the disruptive innovations bring about better development in our Enugu.
All right, so let's throw this to you now. The major news here is that the state governor is reshuffling his cabinet. He's not just onboarding new commissioners, he's repurposing some, changing these designations. A lot is happening within the exco of the state government. What do you think has motivated this action? Away from speculation, let's hear from you, who is a part of this. What do you think motivated this reshuffling?
Okay, so oftentimes when you set to run, you set up strategies, you set up patterns, you set up principles, and when you observe, this is half into the 4-year tenure of the governor, and he has found out that there is need to rejig, reshuffle, and realign for possible better results. There are people who could have been in some ministries and departments and agencies where they don't have a very strong hold. And with time, it was found that, okay, if they move to this side, you know, oftentimes we say we are ready to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. So I see this as a change that is going to bring a better positive impact. So you see that it is not a total removal or change of commissioners. You notice that some commissioners moved from one place to another, meaning that that could be their better places where they can, you know, show their expertise. So I am hoping, and I'm hoping for the best to come out from this. You can see that at the Ministry of Water Resources, we now have a water engineer, Ben Collins Jr., and there is no better person to manage poverty other than a woman. It is the woman who understands the pains of the children. Everything about poverty most times is circulated around the woman. So you see a woman moving into that commission right now. So I'm expecting to see a whole lot of difference, a whole lot of growth, a whole lot of development, and you know, a whole lot of movement, upward movement.
And that's what we hope to see. So we're going to go on a quick breather now. When we come back, we would like to learn more about the background of this new appointee. So please do stay with us. Enugu Kwenu returns in just moments. Stay tuned. welcome back. The program is still Enugu Kwenu right here on Afia TV, and we're still with Princess Obiajulu Ugu. Let's now head straight into the backgrounds of some of these appointees, because many people are getting to know them on this scale, on this level, for the very first time. And I'd like us to start with Ben Collins Jr., Ben Collins Undu Jr., who many people may have seen before, but might not really know of his own stand beyond what they know his father for. So could you please update us or let us know more about his background? You talked about being a water engineer, if I heard you correctly. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so it's good we're starting with Ben Collins Undu, who I personally have worked with in the private sector when he was managing the Sanchez Travels at Isala Road. I was then the marketing manager for iZone Limited. And Sanchez Travel, as I know, was well organized, quiet, clean, and very productive. And that company have lasted up till date. I didn't even realize that young man was senator, who was the senator's son, and but I have known him as a well-organized human being. Beyond that, he has worked in this administration with in the monitoring and evaluation team with the SSG, and added to his being an engineer in water. So I think that's a very good background. Someone who has the idea of politics, of the pressure in politics, and the pressure behind being able to deliver, and also who is coming from the private sector, who is coming from a side where you need to put in all perfections for you to, make ends meet in your private practice. So I think that Ben Collins is a round peg in a round hole for this commissioner appointment.
I think the question is, why now? We've seen some two commissioners. I mean, we know of one, but there's also rumors of another, which I cannot confirm at this point. But we are sure of the resignation of the Commissioner for Trade, Investments and Industry recently. And there are speculations about yet another, which I'm not going to try to confirm on the show right now. But I want to know if the new appointments were motivated by those resignations, or did the new appointments discussions start before these commissioners or this commissioner decided to resign? I really want to know what motivated this at this point in time. Essentially, why now?
Okay, so for me, I think that the reason is the ability to shift ground once there is need for it. You don't stick your neck just because you have appointed certain people. So there was need for this reshuffling and this rejigging. As for the resignation, the one you're talking about who resigned from trade and investment, that is a woman. That is someone who I know could have resigned to maybe improve herself, maybe go for a development. Anything could have been. She didn't make it quite open why she resigned. But I'm sure that whatever the reason she resigned must be for a positive benefit, not just to herself or maybe to the society and Enugu at large.
All right. So can we also gain your insights as to why the Commissioner for Health apparently is no longer the Commissioner for Health? What really happened to Prof. Emmanuel Obi? Why is he no longer heading the Ministry of Health?
Okay, so from antecedents, Professor Emmanuel Obi has been the commissioner. I think a two-term commissioner. I think they should really stop them. So it's when we got into the state, we had to put it in our heads that today you are honorable, tomorrow you are going to be former honorable. So as much as possible, you do whatever you can to give your best as at the time that your services are required. So I think he accepted his term and then giving way for another colleague, another professional colleague is not a bad idea at all if we are really looking at growth. And I will say, I believe that both of them will still, work hand in hand, collaborate to make sure, coming from the antecedent and then joining with the president to get the best out of the Ministry of Health.
All right, now away from health, let's move to works. Engineer Gerald OTG has been visibly very much on ground. We've seen him overseeing a lot of the project because many people think that works and infrastructure concerns roads alone. Apparently, that's not the case. It has a lot to do with the 300-bed hospital, the smart schools, has a lot to do with the type 2 primary healthcare centers. Essentially, the Ministry of Works is involved in every project that involves cement, bricks, you name it. Now we're seeing him being moved laterally to the Ministry of Housing and then being replaced by someone else that we know has a versatile background in civil engineering. Could you walk us through what may have informed this decision by the state government to reshuffle this ministry?
Okay, so for the Ministry of Works, you could see that, okay, first thing first, the current government of Enugu runs e-governance, which means that there is a track record of activities that has happened in every ministry, department, and agency. So I believe that Gerald OTG's moving from works to housing is going and also make input. So how much input he has also made, and I think he has set the ground running for the works ministry, and now needs to move to the housing ministry to make meaningful impact too. So it's just going to be a continuation of what has been on ground for the Ministry of Work and also for the Ministry of Housing, and then maybe possible improvements here and there.
All right, now before we let you go, let's look at the Dr. Godwin Anibo, who is now been sworn in as the head of service in Enugu State. What happened with the former head of service? Had he served out his tenure? Why was he updated?
Like I said, it remains the same. There is need every time for changes to be made. Okay, so the much everyone can do is at the point it is you give the best at service. It is not monarchy. It is not anybody's permanent place. So it could even be Natalie tomorrow in the head of service. Who knows? So we'll just give Anibo his chance to do his bit, and we'll see how it goes.
All right. Now, final question before we let you go. I know you're always busy. You're always joining us on the go. And trust me, I appreciate this because not many people would inconvenience themselves the way you have multiple times for Afia TV. Now, I have to ask you this. One thing that we hear a lot at Afia TV is that the reward for good work is more work. Why would someone who is performing to maximum capacity in his ministry have to be moved away from that ministry if truly he is satisfying the requirements of why he was appointed in the first place? Shouldn't he be encouraged to do more because he already should know the groundwork? He should know the contractors' specifications, the things that have been done, the things that are still yet to be, he knows everything. So why overhaul that particular area, 2 years into the administration? Wouldn't that cause more confusion? Wouldn't it take more time for the new person to get acquainted with what's on ground? What message is this truly passing to Enugu?
Natalie, like I said already, there is a track record because this government runs the e-governance. There is a track record. And if you are really talking about reward for more work, being more work, for good work, being more work, then I think that is what has happened for to the commissioner for works. He has just been moved from works to housing. Another very serious department or ministry that requires a lot of knowledge and commitment. So I think that this is exactly what has played out here. He has done possibly very well in the Ministry of Work, and we now also want to experience him in the Ministry of
Okay,
Housing.
that explains a lot. So is that to say that not enough was going on in the Ministry of Housing before? Who was in charge of the Ministry of Housing? Was there any because there was no activity there? So so which of these ministries are new? The Ministry of Housing, we are aware of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. That's a new one altogether. We've not seen that before. So is the Ministry of Housing brand new as well? Because sometimes you don't hear about the
PDP, present PDP chairman was Commissioner for Housing.
Exactly. So that's how
since he left,
came to
that
mind.
place has been open.
It's been vacant.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been vacant. No one had occupied it before. So the Ministry of Housing has always been, but now we have someone that is in charge, who no longer the PDP chairman for this. So we're seeing that now the Ministry of Housing is finally home yet again. Someone is there to lead the house. No pun intended.
The Commissioner for Information, that position has been vacant for a while.
Yes.
Since the former one became a local government chairman, it's been open. Then the PDP chairman, Chiko, when he became the PDP chairman, that ministry has also been vacant. So I think those two were just being filled up.
Yes. That's great. So we have Dr. Malachi that would now be in the Ministry of Information, which has been vacant since the now chairman of Udenu local government area, Aka left to pursue other ambitions. So now we have someone there who appears to have a vast expertise in mass communication. So he's been doing well in journalism. He's, according to his bio, he's worked with This Day, he's worked with a bank, and he's studied journalism. So essentially, as a communicator, he has some kind of a background in journalism.
I hope he understands the need to go online. Mainstream media is slowing down. So if he's listening to this, he needs to start thinking, how do I do something different? Because all the time you spend on mainstream media, most of the time won't be heard. The young people are on social media, so you need to, handle those areas efficiently. If he has any kind of lack in that area, this is the time to go. I mean, there are short courses that can put him up to speed. You understand? So I've always mentioned about that ministry because I don't think what is happening in Enugu State, people know most of it. 1,000-something projects. If I tell you to count the ones, I'm sure you can't count more than 20. So, but they have 1,000-something projects. So someone needs to communicate this properly so the people understand the value. Because every day I spend time on the phone with Enugu State people who are outside the country, complaining about, hey, this is not happening here, insecurity, that, So I try to explain to them the much I know about, this shows there's a gap somewhere. The government is not communicating.
Was there anybody else that you thought would be given the opportunity to run the Ministry of Information, to spearhead the communication of the Enugu State government? Were you disappointed by this appointment, speaking frankly?
No, I'm not a politician, so I don't put my mind to who should be what. So I trust the judgment of this governor, so I think he must have seen. He doesn't do sentiment, so I believe he must have seen something in this guy. So I just hope that they listen too. And they also, like he said, he's taking stock. Has he aligned or defined the KPIs for this guy? You understand what I mean? So he's not just doing same thing and expecting different results.
Right.
So I hope his KPIs are properly articulated and it matches his skill set.
All right, we're going on another quick break. When Enugu Kwenu returns, we'll summarize this conversation and gain Mr. Chilaka's input on another issue concerning this development in the state. Enugu Kwenu returns shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The program is Enugu Kwenu right here on Afia TV. And of course, we still have Mr. Chilaka Njoku, Public Affairs Analyst, CEO Sputnet Limited. Right before now, we had Princess Obiajulu Ugu bring us up to speed on the screening exercise and insights on the backgrounds of some of the new appointees. Mr. Chilaka, I just called to mind the question I was going to ask you concerning the work, the task before the new appointees. Now, a lot of groundwork has been done in Enugu. We're seeing buildings that are being constructed farther away from the ground. Foundations are there, building structures are already on the way. Do you think that the newly appointed commissioners are going to have it easier? Let's talk about water, let's talk about works, let's talk about health. Because a lot of the groundwork, shall we say the initial gragra, was already done by the previous occupants.
No, I just think a framework has been put on ground. It's like you're talking about water. Reticulation is a lot of work. Being able to get revenue from it is under work. You have to track, you have to monitor, you have to meter. So there's still a lot of work to be done there. And in the works department, Ministry of Works, there's still also a lot to do. This is just 2 years into the government, there's 8 years. So there's a lot to be done. The construction work, most of them have been structurally done. Most of the ones that have started I don't think all the rules that Governor Peter Mbah wants to do, he has done even 50%. So there's still a lot of work to do. So whatever the reasons for the shuffle, I believe is for good, because like I said, I heard him talk about KPAs and KPIs. You know, some people might have been struggling with the role they are playing, or may have been needed more. Someone like Utija, I think maybe he's needed more in housing. So the government may have said, my brother, help me here more. I need you here. This guy can do this one. Do this one is more important to me. So because I tell you, I was thinking while I was coming here, housing is very critical. Why? Because the insecurity issues we're having is coming from fallow lands, right? Those bushes. So if we can build newer cities in those areas and connect them, right? You know, it will help. And housing is a major thing.
Pockets of information on the streets, shall we say rumors, suggest that the Enugu State government is trying to change the aerial view of the state, the way the state looks from above, the rooftops, especially in those areas close to the airport. You know, when you're landing, you see some buildings that don't look very. I didn't say ugly, Chilaka. You said
I heard the governor say that he doesn't like the sight of it and the brown roads and all that.
Yeah, so you want to land and have that skyline, that horizon that, you know, is speaking of a city that is taking a modern dimension. So now let's get your overall assessment of the performance of the commissioners in Enugu State, especially those who have now downed their tools, those who have been reassigned. What is your your personal appreciation of their duties?
I mean, for anybody who has brought out his time and energy to serve his state, I think they should all be appreciated. Whether you resign, you're reassigned, or you're asked to step aside. Whichever case is time. It's part of your life you just given. 1 year of someone's life is a lot. How long do we live? So every one of them should be appreciated for having tried, yes, or for whatever service they've rendered. Even those who didn't succeed, at least you tried something. So I think they should all be appreciated.
Water is critical to this state governor. Water was one of the first promises made. Yes. I will deliver water in 180 days. We had Andreas Gibawa at the beginning, though he's also resigned. We had Commissioner Dr. Felix Namani on ground at the time. Now we have one of the younger, I think he's, dare I say, the youngest of the new appointees, if my eyes are not failing me, right? Now in charge of the tall guy. So we have him now spearheading that Ministry of Water Resources, right? Ben Collins Undu Jr. handling that ministry. How confident are you in the experience? We heard Princess Obiajulu say a couple of things about him. His experience being a water engineer, you know, she spoke well of him. You know, I want to know whether you think he can handle the task before the Ministry of Water Resources.
You know, going by his profile, there's no reason why he shouldn't do well. And he's young and he has all the energy. I mean, this is reticulation. And someone needs to keep an eye on every stage of it. This is very key. I mean, this is the most sensitive part. To put pumps and all those things are, you know, like bogus stuff. But this requires several points of failure, possible several points of failure. So he needs someone that has the energy. And I think he's a right fit. Being a young guy, I mean, at that age, I was in field operations. He could drive everywhere, you know. So he should be able to have a robust monitoring team, because most of the people in the civil service are used to negative culture of working. So if somebody is not coming from outside to infuse some level of, you know, of ginger and pressure on them, they will do business as usual. And they won't say anything wrong. All they are waiting for the end of the month to take their salary and go home. Yeah. So he needs to infuse, as the governor has infused KPAs and KPI to the commissioners, him now should infuse it to the people in his ministry and find ways to measure them and infuse consequence management.
All right. Now let's shift away from that and look at two other developments before we round up. I mean, we don't have much time, but let's get your brief reaction. The Enugu electricity regulator has slashed the Band A electricity tariffs to 160 naira per kilowatt hour. And this has made the consumers, for the first time, they're smiling about the electricity regulator. In fact, the electricity distributor as a whole, main power, they're happy about this. And if all things are left the way they are, barring any last-minute changes by NERC or by the federal government, this would be implemented. This slash will become effective August 1st this year. How do you react to this, especially as we're seeing the Gencos and the Discos, in layman terms, raising hell as a result of this trailblazing action by the Enugu regulator?
You see, it's quite unfortunate that they are raising, I don't know what they want. Are they not Nigerians as well? Are they not buying the same market? The problem is this, nobody has been doing the right thing. Chijoke is doing the right thing now. So the people should go and look at efficiency. When these people were given, the discos were given, their areas to manage, they're supposed to bring in certain level of infrastructure cleanup, metering people properly, so you can measure what you're selling. But till today, they don't give meters. There are a lot of people that, in fact, they're taking out meters from people, so they can do where they approximate what they're saying.
Estimated billing.
Estimated billing, so that they can use it to meet what they are losing here and there. So they don't want to infuse the capital that they promised or they signed in the SLAs with government to do. Someone needs to enforce that. That's another area Chijoke needs to be looking at now. The Regulatory Commission needs to start looking at it. The meters is a major problem. So if there are meters, then you pay for what you use. They are making some people, they said, when I spoke to the Regulatory Commission sometime, they said, no new house should be connected without a meter. Well, a lot of houses have been connected this year without meters, including one of my own. And I've chased them around for meters, it's not coming. The tenants are complaining. So what do you do?
What do you have to say to the Gencos that are very unhappy with this move, saying that this could crash the entire power sector? They're not happy because they're indebted to suppliers and they think this move would further crash the system.
They should look inwards and look for higher efficiency. When you're more efficient, you make your profit margins improve.
But what about the debt?
That's in the past. I don't know who's going to take it.
But the debt is in the present.
But they knew the debt was there when they took over this project. They don't have to make Nigerians pay their debt. If there was excess profit, would they come back and say, Nigerians, we're making too much profit, have some of it? No, it's part of the risk associated with the business.
What's the take home from this move by EERC? Because EERC is saying, for the period of time that federal government is still subsidizing electricity, we want Enugu consumers to enjoy this. We want Enugu consumers to enjoy power, Enugu customers to enjoy power. They are staying on that decision. What does it expose? What does it expose about the system as a whole?
The discos are just not doing what they're supposed to do. They're taking money from the people. They are supposed to bring in, whenever you start a new business, you bring in capital, right? You bring your capex, you infuse it, then you start, taking back your money over time. You're not going to make this money the next day. But they don't want to do that. They want to take money from the people to implement. No, that's not the plan. That's not the SLA. They're supposed to bring in huge capital and run for a while before they start seeing profit. And that's what the Regulatory Commission is saying now. Do what you're supposed to do. Bring in your own capital. Put meters, and then you're going to make your money over time. You don't make it overnight. You're not selling rice.
All right. Okay, there appears to be an infographic error. The asset that just showed on screen had a little typographical error, but definitely is going to be rectified. And apologies for that little bit of information there. It will definitely be tidied up in the course of the day's broadcast. But let's shift away from electricity now and look at the clamor for new states. Some people agree with the call for new states, in that Nigeria, the Southeast needs another state to become equal with the other zones in the country. Some people are saying that there's no need for new states. They're not viable. They're not needed, unnecessary, misplaced priorities. What's your stand on the clamor for new states in Nigeria? Bringing it back to Enugu, we're also seeing the state governor appealing to the Senate Committee on the Constitutional Review to, consider the new states in the Southeast. How do you feel about this?
Equity is always right. Equity cannot be wrong. So if others are having 6 states, why not the Southeast? So give us what you gave to others, or you reduce their own to 5. That's the first, that's my own, that's my take. Whether it's needed or not needed, it's not when it comes to the turn of the Southeast that it won't be needed. If it's not needed, they should reduce the one in the Southwest to 5 as well, and the South-South. So let us all balance. So when we want to shrink, we shrink together. But for now, we need it, because the allocation goes per state. They are sharing money and they say, who is saying it's not needed? We need it. We need the money to develop Igbo land. They should, whatever is due, I'm in support of what the governor says. Let us have another state. Where and what part is going to come from? I don't know. Well, let it be in the Southeast. That's good enough.
How do you feel about other states?
I don't have a problem. Be it Adada, be it Orashi, be it whatever it is.
Anioma?
Anioma, whatever it is.
What about Anim?
anyone they want to call it. You don't want to only make Oka a state, it's okay. So far as in the southeast, and they're going to give allocation like they're giving the ones in the southwest and northwest and all that. They should do the same thing for us. Are we different? Are we not all in the same country? They should balance this thing.
All right, now we've come to the end of Enugu Kwenu today, but I would like to gain your final assessment of the issues raised on the show today. The swearing in of the new commissioners, Enugu regulators slashing the Band A tariffs, electricity tariffs, the calls for new states, the portfolios assigned to the commissioners. What can we take home from all of these events in the state?
You see, I love the conversations that are going on today. Years in the past, we didn't have this kind of conversations. There's high activity level in the state, and they're all positive towards change, towards revolution, economic, infrastructure, and everything. You understand? So the governor is changing the game. I'm excited. I want another Peter Mbah after this one, please. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I'm already worried about anybody that's going to stop this trajectory, or this direction of development. All we're talking about is growth, development. I mean, you can see a governor who is watching what is going, who is monitoring, tracking, setting, measuring, benchmarks for his appointees. These things have not happened in the past. I can tell you for free that in Enugu State, the governor may not know the name of some of his commissioners. Or his estate. I'm not kidding.
Mr. Chilaka, I don't think you're going too far with that.
I'm not joking. I know what I just said.
All right. Let's leave it there on a lighter note. Thank you, Mr. Chilaka. That's a great way to end the show today. Thank you once again for joining Enugu Kwenu. I will continue to monitor and watch developments in the state. So much more to look at. Enugu Kwenu will return to your screen, same time, same channel, next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Until then, I remain your host as always, Nathalie Uku. Have a beautiful evening. Bye for now.